The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Only 2 races remain here at Season 7 of the American Muscle Series. Last week was an absolute thriller, seeing Matt Malone get his first win of the season in a patriotic effort to overcome his incident at Interlagos last year with a victory. But at the top of the point standings, we still have a barn burner. Jack Sanchez, Scotty Banks, and a wealth of others. Luis Enriquez trying to make a claw, and don't forget about the Challenger and Amateur divisions. We are bound to have a great remaining portion of the season, and let's watch it all together here tonight. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of the Red Sox Racing... No, we're not. The Red Sox Racing League. It is the American Muscle Series, and we're at the wrong series. But where we are is at the Hockenheim ring. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the production truck. That may or may not be a good thing based on how I'm talking already, but Andre Grandbush here fighting some pain, but he has decided to troop through it because he is so dedicated to help me survive. So Andre, welcome back. I know you had an off week last week, but here we are for round number 11 tonight. Oh, come on, ATVO. Yeah, so should all be a great showing here with 1:30 left in practice. Again, my ATVO, my backend software, they say they're waiting for iRacing to output some new data, and then at that point they will fix the circles, but is what it is for the meantime. Once the race starts, we'll put our track map back on the screen. But of course, here at the Hockenheim ring, as we'll go back from the top-down perspective, it is the track here that was well known for being the fastest Formula One circuit, because it had the troop through the forest there once you complete the turn number 2 here. I don't think I have a good enough camera to show it, but you can see this right-hand corner before you would go all the way through the forest at maximum speed, and then you would go and blend back until now what is turn number 6, the hairpin. That corner did not exist, but because of safety issues and too high of speeds and poor spectator situations, they chose to make this track boring in a pseudo kind of way here. But let's bring up our point standings after round number 10 at Interlagos. Still the same game at the top of the board in the Pro Division. 4 points over Jack Sanchez does Scotty Banks. And Joey Luis Enriquez, even with his mid-season resurgence, hasn't been able to claw any closer than that. Chuck Labano, the only one looking comfortable as the leader in the Challenger division. But look at that amateur standings there, Andre. Jeff Schnackle missed last week's race at Interlagos. That tidied up things there, and quite the battle there in amateur.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising because Jeff Schnackle was driving away with it for the longest time. I mean, he was just gone, getting win after win, and now he's coming into this race towards the end of the season 2 points behind, so he's going to have to make up some positions on Mr. Powell, who has been excruciatingly consistent this year, hasn't really missed any races, always up there for a good finish. Maybe not the fastest, but he's always there. So it's going to be a fun battle for sure. The pros and the amateurs. Challenger, a little bit of separation there, but either way, getting down to the end of it, more exciting points battle than we had last year for sure. So yeah, it's tightened things up, probably because Mr. Iro Nam has decided to let somebody else win for once. Now that he's out of the picture, other drivers can actually have a shot.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'd be interesting to see season number 8. Of course, that probably won't go live till, it's 12 weeks off, so probably pushing early 2025. So crazy to think that we're already a quarter of a century into the new millennia here. I remember when 9999 was a thing, and we were pushing and waiting to see the world crash once 2000 and hit. So interesting things there, but qualifying currently underway here, so everybody's on an outlap here, so we will have probably about another minute and a half or so before we get ourselves some qualifying times. But Andre, I did check earlier, and just because we know that sometimes the weather changes here in session, again, the only time, as Dan, that's not a qualifying lap that you'll want to do. Again, the only time I'll ever pull up the UI in a broadcast there, 1%, 2% chance of rain towards the very, very end of the session. So again, 100% clouds.
Saying there's a chance.
The forecast said earlier, 100% clouds and no precipitation. And that's just not a thing here in America. It's always at least 10%. So to have all clouds and no precip, I'm sorry, I call BS to the weather gods there.
Yeah, just one of those things. You think with all the overcast there's a slightly higher chance, but you never know. We do have a qualifying underway. Nobody has posted a lap time quite yet, but they are working away at it. And I tell you what,
that's a Ken Estep on his. Remember Ken Estep recovering from his medical issues, and a nice little word of insert a word here, Andre. Help me out. Nice little it's not a remembrance because I remember he's dead. Tribute. There we go to Mr. Estep. Hope to see him back on track shortly, but. Looks like laps are on the board here. The number 6 car looks like he may be the first one to turn a lap, but he is still way up. That is Luis Enriquez. Remember, he won 2 races, should have won 3. But again, it's hard to gain points, Andre, when you're finishing first and your competitors are finishing second and third.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You do the most that you can, you get the best possible results, and you're still just not maximizing points because everybody behind you is doing really well as well. I will say this track is probably one of the few where you're not going to live and die by your qualifying position quite as much as others. It's a very wide track. There is a ton of opportunity for overtaking. So I think if these guys maybe have an off lap, if they're not qualifying too well to start, they've got plenty of chances to get up front, which is going to be interesting because there is a few drivers in this league, Corey, that, we get into the race and they're blazing fast. They're charging through the field, but they never qualify up front. So if this track has more passing opportunities, we could see one of those drivers up there tonight.
Yeah, Reese Gardner is someone that comes to my mind when you mention that. He hasn't really been the best in qualifying. Well, speaking of which, he certainly hasn't been the best in qualifying on this lap. You can see that number 94 is not in a favorable state here, and that is my personal number on the once a year that I do race. So I like to see that car do a little bit better than that, but he's someone who can usually be top 5. But here comes the first onslaught of lap times here. Luis Enriquez will pull up our ticker coming off the final corner here. Looks like lap times will be just under 2 minutes, right at that last timing line, a 1:56. And again, the onslaught of times should populate in on the screen here. Here comes Evan Hubchak at a 57.
Schnackle to the pole momentarily. See how long he holds on to it, but the amateur topping the pylon with a 156.7. That's interesting to see. He's got Luis Enriquez right behind by about 0.02 of a second. And as these lap times roll in, Schnackle's holding on to it. He is not getting immediately dethroned. This could be something, I'll tell you.
Well, let's see. Kevin Parrish, this is one that's going to be one to fight for right here. And, of course, look at Jack Sanchez even behind Mr. Schnackle there. This looks like a good one. Not quite. There goes Scotty Banks. He'll knock off Schnackle by a half a second. My Atlanta. That is quite the buffer there. Looks like the 104 will be crossing the stripe pretty soon. That's Jeff Andrus there. He is third, I think, in the Challenger standings. That lap be a modest lap for him. Let's see, it puts him in the 14th spot. Not too shabby. Next on the list, looks like the 298, Ryan Campbell. He's coming through the stadium section here, going a little bit wide, a lot of bit wide. I'm not sure if this one's going to count.
Yeah, that was a little bit off the track marker there. We'll see if it does count lap time. It's going to be a 158.1 if it does.
It didn't register. Nope. So that one's not going to count. There goes Weaver. Scooby-Doo going to be 16th. He's not last. He's going to be 16th. And
so he is far from last, in fact.
Last week's winner, Mr. Matt Malone. He's going to see what he can do here, trying to go back to back. And I don't think this, just by the looks of it, this ain't going to be a pole run. It will be, that'll put him down about 15th or so on the board. So he will be certainly hoping the tires heat up and do him a little bit better. But here we come for the next set of laps.
Enriquez is going to see if he can improve. He is not going to improve. It'll be roughly the same lap time he got before. Here comes Jeff Schnackle. Can he jump back to the top of the board? It's another 156, but only a minor improvement. Is not going to get him back to the pole, falling back to 5th now. Jay Bast in the 53. He is headed through. I don't know if that's going to count. That was 4 tires over the turtle curb, but Dahan 02, 156.919. Everybody really, really close from about 2nd all the way back to 12th, and then you just have Luke Sudengay.
Sudengay, Scotty Banks, P1. That's a surprise to absolutely nobody.
No, he got it back pretty quick, but I'll tell you, that pace out of Luke Sudengay is it's pretty good. He's only about a 10th off, and he's got an advantage over 3rd, so a little bit more separation in the lap times than I was expecting here at this track, with these guys being pretty familiar with it. Mike Neekum starting his 2nd lap. Again, the tire temperature probably going to matter quite a bit, and they do have that 100% cloud cover, like you mentioned, Corey. I got to wonder, is that helping the grip? Is that kind of maybe a condition they weren't ready for? Because I know when you got that many clouds, it's going to change the car significantly. 68 in the air, 71 on the track, 64% humidity, and a ton of overcast. So, sometimes these drivers, they get in practice sessions, the conditions aren't always going to be exactly what they are in the race session. So you kind of get used to it. You set your brake markers, everything that you get used to driving this track, and then you get in the session and it's different. That could be why these lap times are separated a little bit, but Banks still holding on to it. Ryan Campbell has got out for his outlap here. Matt Malone
still back there,
really improving. A 158 again. He is a little bit off pace here. This is surprising.
Yeah, absolutely the case here. Here we come for another round. Sudengay, 56 flat. That'll put him P2. Again, we're still waiting for him to head to victory lane. It's going to be right around the corner. David Fench, he is 12th, and he'll get bumped back to 13th here. Trying to watch these times come in hot and heavy here. Mr. Dahano Toot from the 15th spot. He will not... he will best himself there, but up to the 10th position. Here comes Jay Bast. This ain't going to do nada. Who else we got? 16th, Mr. 69 car, Mr. Parrish. Scotty Banks bests the pole lap even further, puts it up to a 55.5. Kevin Parrish gets his 56.1 down to the 4th spot. But again, as you said there, Andre, it's not necessarily a matter of the hot lap pace, because we've seen, the first stint, everyone blows the tires, they get all the good stuff on it, and we haven't seen post-build the 2 tires that used to work. They really haven't been too advantageous for drivers this season.
No, they haven't. I do also want to note Jeff Schnackle improved his time. He's up to the final step of the podium, third place right now in qualifying 156.10 to the 155.98 by Luke Sudengay. Scotty Banks still holding on to the pole. So Schnackle came to play. Let me tell you, there is no amateurs anywhere near him on that pylon, Corey. He's got 10 cars plus between him and the next amateur. So comes into this race 2 points the deficit, looking to make those points up pretty quickly as qualifying is about to wrap up. Everybody getting their times more or less confirmed. 9 seconds. We'll be headed down to the grid and figuring out where your favorite driver shakes out for the start of this 45 minutes of fun here at Hockenheim.
45? This race get longer?
40 minutes, 45. It's been a long day, buddy.
It's been a long day without you, my friends, and I'll spare you all the singing. But make sure you like, share, subscribe on our mission to 1,400 subscribers. I think we only need 3 at the time of this recording, so please help us out with that. But let's head down trackside without further ado for today's PTR TV starting lineup here today from the Hockenheim Ring. Starting today's race off from the front row, none other than Mr. Scotty Banks with Luke Sudengay in the second spot. Third is the highest amateur starting position of the season. I don't have the fact on that, but I'm going to assume I'm right. Schnackle in third, Kevin Parrish in the fourth spot. Fifth, we'll find Dan Karakonstantis. I got your Aussie flag here today. Told you I'd take care of you. Brandon Brush, going to try to sweep him there today in sixth. Evan Hubchak in seventh with Greg Hartman. That's a great spot for him there in the eighth spot. Rounding out our top 10, the likes of David Moore and Luis Henriquez.
Outside of the top 10, Dan Ott. Dehano 2 going to be P11. Jay Bast P12. P13 is going to go to Jeff Andrus. And if you look back to 14th, there is Jack Sanchez in the battle for the points lead. Matt Thompson going to be P15. David Finch in that purple and green machine going to be P16. 17th goes to Neil Kemp. And if you look to 18th, that's where you're going to find Mr. Labano, multiple-time challenger winner this year. Phil Keck, Taco Phil, going to be P19, running out the top 20. Matt Malone, buried in the field.
We got some heavy hitters back here, but good to see the Keckster back. Haven't seen him in about a month. Aaron, thank you. That face Bray rolling off in 21st with Cam, the fashion king of the race, in 22nd. 23rd place will find the likes of Andy Smith with Ryan Campbell in 24th. 25th is Mike Neekum, our D-Nut Stuff guy. Check out the Etsy link in the description to get all your custom league merch and potentially other personalized items. Levi Powell in 26th in that battle with the amateur championship. Brandon Smith, Jeff Besnard, our geriatric racer. Freddie Weaver, he's not last. He's in 29th with Mark Royce in 30th. And then 7 more, just I'll finish them off very quickly. Jay Little, Eli Clough, the Taco Twin, Scott Brooks, Dave Blair, Tom Wendt, and John Casey with Reese Gardner. Didn't get a lap in. He will start dead shotgun on the field. That is going to be quite the ride for our Aussie pal here with about 30 seconds or so until the green lights.
We are just waiting for Barney to wave that green flag. 37 Mustangs. League admin Mr. McGrew messaged us before the race. Oh, we got a light field tonight. Well, when the cars are stretching off screen, I don't know that that's a light field, but either way, light's going to go out any moment now. The battle for the points lead easily going to get shaken up here. Jack Sanchez, middle of your screen, buried in the field compared to Scotty Banks, who has that coveted number 1 position. Luke Sudengay going to be P2. He's been on the verge of a win so many weeks in a row. He's had so much speed. And Barney, there we go. Green flag is going to be waved. And it looks like they're going to scatter for first place.
Sudengay missed the start. Yeah, he missed the gear, missed the shift, missed something, but he's going to lose a ton of time into turn number 1. Turn number 1 sets us up for turn number 2. Where we have quite the kerfuffle going on here, back of the pack.
Yeah, we got somebody backward.
Oh my goodness, that's Dan Ott. So we got stuff aplenty going on here right off the opening lap. We'll try to go and find both perspectives of it here. We'll start with Dan Ott, because that's what we caught live. Dan Ott, where did he fail here? David Moore, that was Sanchez. That got into him. Let's take a look a little bit further back. I think Evan Hubchak may have had issue here. Yeah, they were 3 wide. That was Henriquez, Royce, that got him sideways, and there goes Dan Ott around. And again, you know what that was?
Quite make out.
Everybody we just saw, Andre, that basically was in the mix of that was a heavy hitter who qualified poorly, maybe just trying to get a little bit too much time in one corner.
Yeah, that's sometimes the case. You know, you don't qualify well, and you get a little bit greedy in turn one or on the first lap, and you got to remember, you can't win this thing on lap one. There's plenty of time to make passes, plenty of time to work your way through the field. Jeff Schnackle going to be P2, dipping some tires off into the sand, just doing a little bit of excavating out there, no big deal. He's got Kevin Parrish right behind, and Luke Sudengay, who missed just about every shift and everything else on the start, falls back to fourth, but he's right there with them. And then you've got Brandon Brush, who was able to avoid some of the chaos. But look at this, Jack Sanchez, through all the chaos in turn one, he qualified 14th. He's already up to P9. So that is 5 positions gained through everything on lap one. Man, you just can't keep the guy down. You have him qualify a little bit further back. He's already passing cars. He's going to be there by the end of the night. I could almost guarantee you that. But it's going to take a lot for any of these guys to catch up to Scotty Banks, because, Corey, what is happening? 3 seconds, the advantage on lap 2. I don't think I've ever seen that in this league.
No, not at all. I mean, we the first couple races of the season, I know Spa was one of them, the Homestead Roval. Those races were, in relative AMS terms, a little bit on the dry end. They're not weather-wise in terms of lead battles, but shaping up to be in that category today, which is heavily induced by the fact that, again, all the heavy hitters struggling here. Here comes Neil Kemp and Evan Hubchak there. They are side by side heading into turn number 6, the sharpest hairpin on circuit here, and the best braking zone here, as you can see the drag strip off to the far left of your screen here. Everybody getting there. Here comes Luke Sudengay, 3 wide with a move. There goes Parrish, and bomb pop and some contact throws Sudengay way wide.
Yeah, he got way out there, but able to recover, at least for the time being. He's going to slot in their P4. That's going to put Sudengay in third place. Second place. Kevin Parrish still third. This side-by-side battle, Luis Henriquez, Brandon Brush, and they are going to go into the corner side-by-side. Henriquez on the outside groove, somehow able to carry the momentum. He's actually going to take that position. Look at this. David Moore. What a run out of the corner he got. That was incredible.
Yeah, coming through the stadium section here, a lot of switchbacks, very slow, very easy to run side by side because you're, just going back each side of the track. Hard to find which lane you want to put yourself in through here in the stadium section. But then turn number 16, the double apex right-hander, that puts you into the pit straight here and starts another lap, going super wide, but you have all that kind of runoff AstroTurf style painted area there that allows you to utilize all of that space. So Sanchez in 7th. We saw Matt Malone very quickly. He is only in 20th, last week's winner. So here comes David Moore with a move underneath Brandon Brush. But again, I am just very curious, Andre, and it's to the point that you said. This is a Formula One circuit that, most people have experience on the Formula One circuits from console games, and this track has been on the iRacing service for multiple years now, I believe. So very surprising to have such a variance in lap times amongst our heavy hitters.
Yeah, big variance, and with Scotty Banks 4 seconds out, that's going to be quite the gap to close down. We do have a PTR TV instant replay. What happened here? Oh boy, Freddie Weaver, what happened?
He's trying to be last.
Oh no, there's a concrete wall. That's a heck of it.
And here is Jay Little. His car was already little, so he was just finishing it off there. And then to continue off our blooper reel, here goes Ryan Campbell with a little loopty-boopty.
Dang, it seems like a lot of handling issues tonight as pit road has become a significantly more populated
Chuck
place.
Labano is...
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't tell if he was expired for a second because I saw some dark plumes. Hopefully it was just some tire smoke there, because again, he is in that battle for the division championship there. He's enjoying quite a lead there. And he just overcooked it.
Yeah. got in a little bit too deep, then locked up the brakes a bit, rear end stepped out, and that's all it takes. So I'm a little bit surprised. These cars really seem to be on edge with all the single car issues we've had. And, it could just be the tires taking a while to get up to temp, or it could be the amount of overcast, I don't know. But these drivers struggling with it, as they were a couple weeks ago. So in the meantime, there's your lap times on the screen. Last time by, Scotty Banks, the only driver in the top three with a 155. Now outside of the top three, got a few 155s. Luis Henriquez, David Moore, Jack Sanchez, all these drivers on pace with our leader, but a little bit further back, so it's not quite going to help them yet. This battle right here, that is a gaggle of cars with Taco Phil looking on from the tail end of it, trying to figure out how he can work his way up through the grid a little bit. Again, qualified back in 19th, but he's moved up 4, so, the drive-through seems to be moving pretty quick at Taco Bell.
Words that are not uttered here in Southeast Massachusetts. Here comes Hoopchuck, hard of the binders, underneath Andrus there. Neil Kemp is trying to be the meat in the taco there. I thought he was going to go 3 wide, exiting the corner there, but luckily chooses not to do that, exiting 6, now into the right-hand kink of turn number 7. And then that puts us into the Mercedes complex here, turn number 8. There goes Hoopchaka, maybe a little bit defensive there on the left-hander. And then we immediately get ready for a switchback here into turn number 10. That puts us into a little chute, which puts us into turn number 12, which is the Mobile One corner, into the stadium section here. My memory of this track has started to come back here. I covered a couple Red Sox Racing League races, which I think is why I said that in our introduction, incidentally. But this stadium section, slowest part of the track, which also means you could probably be the most aggressive here, Andre. Just can't push it a little bit over the edge.
Yeah, you got to be careful. It does narrow up quite a bit. It's a fast portion of the track, so you don't want to find yourself pushing those track limits, getting off into the grass, getting a 1X, or getting the car sideways. That does not help either, as we've seen a few drivers have issues with that tonight. But everybody kind of single-filed out, running their laps. It's been fairly clean after the first few laps, having all those issues. And there's the other Taco Bell machine, as well as John Casey in the 178, currently running at P28. They're in the Challenger division.
Electrician by day, sim racer at night. It's a field that I've been too scared to get into because I know that I'll end up killing myself because I don't pay enough attention to things that are important in life. Aaron, that face break gets the 18th spot. Levi Powell in 19th, but he ain't done yet. He is going to try to look inside here as the sweeper to the left, but that should be putting them into turn number 6. So there'll be a nice opportunity for a dive bomb into the hairpin. Powell is ahead, but now he has a hard right-hand corner, and he will back off, maybe for a crossover. That's going to be a suboptimal entry line by Bray, but he'll get the run regardless.
Yeah, it seems like this track is actually kind of opening up several lanes for these guys to use. Earlier in the race, we saw Henriquez kind of sling it around the outside, get a good run out of the corner, and now we see it again right there. So these drivers not necessarily glued to the bottom of every corner, not having to take the preferred or optimal line every single time. A dive bomb here by Mr. Labano. He's working his way back up, making up for that mistake that he had earlier. And he's driving that thing hard. And Mr. Labano, he's got a Twitch channel. He records all of his races, and he's in VR. So I always imagine these drivers in VR when they're wheeling the heck out of these things. Almost got to be getting a little bit nauseous, but that ain't going to faze him. He's working on it.
I miss the days of virtual reality, but it was just annoying. I know iRacing has implemented the new graphic settings per thing, but when you're a broadcaster, you don't just change your broadcast setting. You don't just change your graphics over. You got to change your sound settings. It was just too much, but definitely VR is where it was at. I used to use the Meta Quest 2, and the Quest 3 is even better, but maybe one day. But I got a 49-inch screen, so can't complain too much. Here comes Bast underneath Brandon Brush. That puts him into the 8th spot. Dan Karakonstantin, he's dropped back a little bit from his starting spot. I think he was in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, but now back to the 10th spot as Neil Kemp going for a ride.
That's
and the hood.
There is pieces of that car everywhere on the track. Take a look at the PTR TV replay. We kind of caught it live, but Mr. Kemp trying to get around the outside here. A lot of space, and then
just unlost it. Maybe a little upset over the curb there. He kind of straddled the curb, and when you do that, sometimes it just gets that car a little bit unsettled. But here comes the 58 of Cara Constantis with Brandon Brush. They are entering the turn 8 complex here. And a little bit of a switchback. Saw the wiggle from Cara Constantis there. We got to find a short name for that because it's kind of hard to say in quick battles there. But he's going to go wide, straddling over the turtle. Let's see if Brandon Brush can pull something off here heading into, I believe it to be 12.
Yeah, and I should point out, too, we are 12 minutes into this race. These cars are still getting sideways on their own and just kind of stepping out on these guys. So I don't think the tires are really going to come up to temp and help these guys. They're up to temp by now, and they're still handling pretty ill. So that is interesting to see as we ride on board now with Matt Thompson in the 133 machine, part of the Challenger division. And he's got quite the show going on ahead of him. Long line of cars, a lot of potential positions to pick up. But P11, not a bad run so far for Mr. Thompson. And again, a lot of cars ahead that he could potentially work his way around. We are a ways off from any sort of pit sequence. It's going to be at least 7 minutes, probably more. But we do have some damaged cars coming off of pit road. You saw in the frame there, trying to scrounge every point they can.
Something happened to Dan Ott. I feel like he was just 15th or so. Now he's all the way back to 23rd. So I'm not sure if I just missed something.
He was in the first lap wreck, of course.
Yeah, he has that damage to his car there. Brandon Smith in front of him. And then Chuck Labano again trying to do his recovery tour here. Was worth noting that Reese Gardner, he was going to quit here, getting from our YouTube chat. He was going to quit once he started last, but said, nah, you know what? I'll run. I'll have some fun. And he's already got up 19 spots there, closing it on Levi Powell, who, again, our name tag car there, because he has his name and all of his important information quite obvious there for our broadcasting pleasure. Somebody was at Hoopchak maybe have a little bit of a hoopla there. Saw some smoke there from that car and can confirm he done did something.
Yep, that's another spin out of Mr. Hoopchak. He's had an eventful night. That'd be the second time that car got out from underneath him. So he qualified pretty well, but unfortunately good has gone to bad for that number 7 machine all the way back in P16. Now a little bit further back, here is the bomb pop Schnackle fighting with Sanchez, and that's for 4th place. Schnackle has not really given up any track position since lap 2 when he fell back to 4th place, but Sanchez trying to do something about that. He's going to try to take it from him down the straightaway using the slipstream, using lessons learned from NASCAR. He's going to get down on the inside.
Oh!
A little bit of a door check. Always making it exciting.
I thought you were going to say lessons used from learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st to score the victory at the Pepsi 400, but I think there's a little bit too many incorrect facts there, but going very wide there. In 2 is Mr. Schnackle, and that will cause him to relinquish the spot. Sanchez now only has 7 seconds of real estate to eat up before he will get to the back bumper of the leader. Last time by, he ran a 55-1, and Scotty Banks ran a 56-1. So, conspiracy, potential opportunity? Probably not, but, we can be optimistic. Dan Ott is in the pits here, well before halfway. Not sure if he is pulling a strategy card or if, indeed, he is maybe in another wreck. But Matt Malone, he is up to 14th now, trying to make that 13th, closing in on Mr. Andrus here in the hairpin.
And he's going to get aggressive with it. I don't think there was contact, but maybe just a little bit as they got out of the corner. And again, an uncharacteristic showing out of Mr. Malone. He's made his way up to 14th, which is an improvement from where he qualified. Of course, we've had a lot of cars wreck out of this race. I think that may be where he got some of these positions. But look at that car, Corey. I mean, he's on the inside trying to make this move happen, and it stepped out on him twice. He had to counter-steer that thing, bring it back around. It's just not looking good. I don't know what kind of setup he's got under that Mustang, but it's not working out for him because that thing looks evil.
Evil. As looks like I thought Andrus was going to try to go 2 for 1 there and get Fench, but he chose to stay in line. As we go up front, Luke Sudengay is starting to become in a battle with Mr. Parrish, who is closing in on him there. So this is all 5 seconds beyond our race lead. And again, last time by, just as a, well, yeah, I'll just pull it on the ticker just for our ease of visuals. A 55.8. The only other person who ran a 55.8 was Kevin Parrish. Maybe a little bit of slipstream influence on that, but you know, Andre, we're forgetting one important thing. That pit stop. We have seen pit stops make and break races here, between fuel load, between underfueling, between penalties. So Scotty Banks, just because he's all the way out there, does not mean this thing is over.
No, it's definitely not over. And, you know, we've seen crazier things. We've seen leaders underfuel their cars and run out on the final straightaway coming to the checker. Not once, but twice. We've seen the leader get into solo accidents, give it up that way. It is never over.
Connection issues.
Has flown connection issues. There's another one. The American Muscle Series has proven to be pretty unpredictable this season. Even in the races where you thought you were sure you knew how it was going to end, well, it surprises you. It's like the Sixth Sense. You thought you knew how it was going to end, but then you know, it turns out that the guy was dead the whole time. But that's neither here nor there. Movie references. The number 40 is that the 41?
No, we're back in the pack now. This is around the 18th spot. Reese Gardner on his tour to see how high he can get up, closing in on that face in the 17th spot, coming through the stadiums. No, not quite the stadium section. The turn number 8 region. That's why I use my track map here. It's kind of a good reference point of GPS, especially when you're a NASCAR boy and you haven't really raced at this track in quite some time. Actually, I haven't done a race. I don't even know the last time I did a race. Maybe June? But either way, that's rather here nor there to your point there. But let's just do another reference, Andre, of where everybody is in terms of divisions. Of course, Scotty Banks leading. Jeff Schnackle still leading the amateur class. He is in 5th. And as a reference, the next amateur is back in 19th, being Levi Powell. And then in relation to the Challenger division, we got Matt Thompson. I don't know why I stuttered on that. Matt Thompson at 11th. Next,
his name is now Matt Tom from here on out. Just Matt Tom.
Matt Tom. And then Jeff Andrus being in 15th, 4 spots behind him, second in class.
In this battle right here, Reese Gardner, he was doing some gardening in qualifying. He was having some fun off in the grass. Maybe not
powered
fun,
by,
but,
oh gosh, now there's a logo I want to see on his car. I don't have a fancy tight cam here, but
well, there is.
It said powered by Soup. I think that's Soup.
Maybe.
We're going to assume that he's powered by Soup, because I can't, even in my
I think that's coffee. I'm pretty sure that's coffee. I don't think he's powered by Soup, but...
Okay, yes, that's the Apple coffee logo. But I think powered by Soup may be better for Discord later.
Yeah, you know, those Aussies and the Kiwis, they love their soup, and, you know, they just can't race without it. You know, they got
How could an Aussie like soup? It's upside down. It'll fall out of the bowl.
Well, yeah, but they don't have to, like, cook it, because it's so hot there. It's warm anyways, so.
All right, let's we do have a couple Aussies here, so we don't want to offend all of them, but I'm sure we already did here.
Wait,
but
which ones do we want to offend?
Not Dan Cara-Constantine, because he is the new one. Reese Gardner, I think we've already bantered with him here plenty of times here on the channel, but let's go back up to the second spot, which is now, if this was the battle for the win, well, that would be absolutely thrilling beyond belief, because these guys are all basically within 2/3 of a second. Sanchez from his starting spot, that there is of the 14th spot. I didn't remember it, had to wait for the graphic to load. Back up to 4th with a second in his, basically right in his sight line there in the form of Luke Sudengay. All of these drivers 5.5 or so seconds behind Scotty, so not gaining any time. So Scotty is just going to have to run this race purely on defense and conservativeness. I don't know if either of those are in his DNA.
Yeah, definitely.
Whoa.
I wouldn't say he's doing any conserving here, but one driver who's absolutely not, Jack Sanchez, qualified, I believe, in 14th. He has gained 10 positions, and he is now on the bumper of Kevin Parrish and Luke Sudengay. This would generally, in any other race, this would just about be the battle for the lead. This is what it would look like. But tonight we have the anomaly that is Scotty Banks just driving off into the sunset, 5.3 seconds ahead currently. These drivers battling for second amongst themselves. One of the most dominating performances we've seen so far. But again, like you said earlier, Corey, we've seen the pit stops and the pit sequences change the running order, and we've seen drivers lose more than 5 seconds, certainly. So you never really know, and we will be headed down pit road sooner rather than later. We are 18 minutes remaining. So just about 22 minutes into this event as we now follow along again this battle for second place. Jack Sanchez knows where he is in points. He knows what he's got to do to try to get the lead in this championship, and that is he's got to get around Scotty Banks. And unfortunately, even if he gets up to second here, he is still going to be losing ground to that 51. So he's driving desperate, trying to get every point he possibly can. Here comes our first taker down pit road, at least the first one we've seen, Mr. Bast in the 53. Going to bring that purple and blue Mustang down to his stall, get some fuel. I can't imagine they're going to take tires, Corey, because it seems like, for whatever reason, this tire model, this version of the car that we have now, it actually gets better. Like all throughout the run, the tires get more and more worn out, and the car seems to stabilize. So these drivers not wanting to take tires, and we've talked to a few drivers who said, yeah, I took 2 on that last run, and I'm never doing that again. That was a mistake. So Sanchez to the bumper now of Parrish in the hairpin. Look at that sideways action, drifting through the corner, counter steering, not able to make it quite complete, but that just shows you the aggression Jack has right now.
Yeah, he is just trying to get everything he can here, and you can see it going a little bit wide, but hard on the binders. Good defense being played by Sudengay here as they come through the middle section here, 8, 9 through 11. Gives you a little bit of a shoot, a little bit of a straightaway. Hop to the Colonel, straddle the turtle. Now we head into turn number 12, which leads us into the stadium section here. And again, this is where you can be a little bit optimistic, a little bit aggressive, and tell Jack Sanchez to be aggressive. He won't back off from that call. Looking to the inside, maybe a little bit of contact. Luckily chooses to back off because that would have ended badly.
Yeah, sometimes you got to know when to fold them, and in that instance, I think folding them was able to save a couple of drivers' nights. But we do have Parrish down pit road. Say that 3 times fast. He is going to get that car serviced. Meanwhile, the 3 leaders, Scotty Banks, Luke Sudengay, and Jack Sanchez going to stay out. Jeff Schnackel, I'm not sure if he's come down pit road. Yes, no, he is not. So he's going to stay on the track for the time being, 10 seconds behind our current leader.
Dan Constantine also coming in. Looks like that's about it. Not having too many drivers come in around this time by. Again, Sud curve here, which is turn number 16. That does lead to the pit straight here, so I'd be able to see if I can find this camera, which I cannot do it right now. There it is. That would be where you'd pull off there just before turn number 16, and you can see not many people at this juncture of the circuit at this time, but Scotty Banks in a little bit of traffic. That is the 144 ahead of him. That is Mark Royce, I do believe. Yes, it is Mark Royce, tail end of the lead lap here, so still 5.6 seconds, so not doing anything to help Sudengay out here, as Sudengay needs him to be held up, but I just don't think Mark Royce is going to play that way. He's a very, very respectful racer.
Yeah, Mark Royce doesn't really get himself involved in too many kerfuffles. That's a word we used to use a lot, I think, and we haven't used it in a while, but doesn't get himself involved in many kerfuffles, and he's going to let the leader go no harm, no foul. Made sure he was predictable out of the way. Didn't put up much of a fight. That is generally what you'd expect to see out of him, but I'll tell you, Scotty Banks just wheeling this thing. I can't remember the last time we've seen anything like this in AMS. We've seen drivers get out to a lead towards the end of the race. I mean, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, they get out to a lead.
Here he comes.
This early and this dominant, unprecedented. He's going to take the pit road. Here comes Luke Sudengay down the pit road access, and Sanchez going to stay out. So he's taking the long haul, the overcut. And here comes Schnackel, Henriquez. We got David.
Everybody.
Oh boy, everybody. Yep, there's Matt Tom.
Everybody in the race going pits. I think that's some lyrics. Yes, they are. That was, oh my God. I mean, I'm an iPhone user, and the amount of times I have gone through and used that logo, that emoji, emoticon, whatever it is. But yeah, when you're looking at it, even me, I mean, I have a higher res image than you do, Andre, and I still couldn't tell what it was. But powered by soup. Is coffee? Oh no! Remember that broadcast we did last year where we had that big kerfuffle on soup versus stew? Not the time or place, but we may need clarification on that in the future here. Discussions we have here on PTR TV. But exiting the pits here, Schnackle and Henriquez coming out in close proximity. And Levi Powell is going to get out of the way. He has still yet to pit here. We'll switch that over. You can see where everybody is in their cycle, who has pit, who has not. Scotty Banks has pit. That will obviously show there. But Sanchez and Tech still on circuit here, but let's pull the reference card that we always do. That's what the pit time for Scotty Banks, 14.6. And Andre, I know this is something that I've been corrected on by Randall many a time. There's basically a fixed amount of fuel that you will need to finish this race off. And the only way you can really take less fuel is if you save more. Of course, you can be conservative and just fill it up and take too much. But if you want to take too little, you have to save. And saving while running fast is a skill that not every driver can do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox there, trying to conserve while also maintaining momentum. I mean, it can be done. If you're head and shoulders above the field, like it would seem Scotty Banks has been tonight, you can do that. You can afford to back off a little bit. Going back to the NASCAR days, there was plenty of times where I think Jeff Gordon was half a lap ahead of everybody. He's just coasting, clutching, saving fuel, having a grand old time. It can be done. It's just not easy, especially at a track like this where you've got some really heavy braking zones, which, yes, slowing down is great for saving fuel, but then you got to accelerate. You're getting down into the lower gears, which is going to be higher RPMs, which is more fuel. So really, it would be more about trying to stay in a higher gear, keep the revs down. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and the question is the amount of time you would save taking less fuel really gonna outweigh the time you lose trying to save? And I would say in most cases it wouldn't, but again, I've been surprised before.
Yeah, exactly that here. And we saw Sanchez gain about a second, maybe 2 seconds through the cycle, and we will show you at home for your visual pleasure. 13.2, so that is a second and a half faster of a pit stop than Mr. Scotty Banks. So again, that leads to the question, did he save more? Therefore, he took less? Did he underfuel? Or did Scotty play conservative and just put more in there because he knew he had the gap to play with? I would probably lean towards the latter, because if I know I have a 6-second lead, I'm not going to push the envelope. But you never know. These drivers all are very aggressive on their calls, and either way, 6 or so laps left for a 4-second gap. Scotty really hasn't put a wheel off that we've seen, so he still has the race in his command, and the only way it's going to go is if he blows it.
Yeah, he would have to make a catastrophic mistake, but I will say props to Jack Sanchez, going from 14th all the way up to 2nd, and he did gain on this pit sequence. He gained about a second and a half, so it's not over. Again, like we said at the start of the broadcast, it's not over, not even close, but it's definitely looking a certain way. Luke Sudengay, through that pit sequence, definitely lost some time.
Got a penalty.
53 seconds with that penalty. And again, how many weeks is this going to happen, Corey, where this guy is showing pace to be on the podium, pace to even win, and then something happens? I mean, it's just over and over. You got to feel like at this point, he's got like the anti-golden horseshoe.
I guess the rusty horseshoe, perhaps?
Yeah, the rusty horseshoe upside down in the trunk. I don't know.
And then, of course, next week's race is going to be the season finale. And last season, Andre, that one was a thriller. That one kind of started off the gas mileage crazy races, because that was at the street circuit of Belle Isle. That track, we were led into a bonus lap there. All the leaders estimated it was going to be like a 21-lap race, and due to the timing, the pacing of the race, we ended up getting 22, and that gave Luis Henriquez a win that he was not expecting. So that kind of started the ball game of, that fuel game and really pushing the envelope. So next week that will be interesting, of course, seeing these guys navigate the tight and bumpy streets of Detroit. So that'll be our season finale, and championships on the line, all of that fun stuff. But here comes Chuck Labano here, 9 minutes left. He is battling with Levi Powell. Powell pulls back in line, and they could see Luke Sudengay just at the back of the shot. He is trying to recover to the best of his abilities. Going a little bit further up, here comes Luis Henriquez. He's battling with the bomb pop, and I mean, really, Andre, you think about it from a Jeff Schnackle perspective right now. I mean, he must be just grinning ear to ear, or conversely, because we talked about this with Randall last week, he might be sweating bullets. He's like, crap, I don't want to be a pro next year, because then I'm not going to win. Maybe I should tank it and try to only go up to Challenger next year.
I think he could. I think even in the pro class, he's got a chance. I mean, he's been in the top 5, top 10 every week, and he just seems to be getting better. He's getting used to this car. He's getting used to the competition. He's learning how to race these guys and, what each individual driver kind of does on the track, and it's showing. He's improving every week. I think even if you put him in pro, he's still going to be having a good time. So it has been an explosive, no pun intended, first season for the Bomb Pop, Jeff Schnackle, and Luis Henriquez. He wants that 4th place, and you can tell, because he's getting on the throttle pretty hard. He's fishtailing a little bit, and he's driving a little bit like Jack Sanchez further up the road is. But here's Jay Bast, another driver who, the last few weeks, he's been right up there with him. He's been getting really good these last few weeks, and we've seen this car make some impressive moves. Definitely been picking up the points here and there.
Schnackle all over the place. Highest kill count in the league, and then S3 Challenger winner, which I didn't think they had a Challenger division before, but I guess whatever it was, he won it. But here's the thing for Schnackle, Andre, and this is just a me thing, but there's such a massive difference as a driver from a top 5 to a top 10. So Schnackle can lose 1 spot, but he can't lose 2 if he wants that stat of a top 5. Now, a top 10 is nothing to slouch over, but the mental difference between finishing 5th and finishing 6th is just huge to a driver, or maybe it's just a me thing.
No, you're right. I mean, there's definitely a distinction between I got a top 5 and I finished 6th. It feels different to say.
And also, look at this gap up front, BT Dubs. It was 4 seconds when we let go. It is 2.5 now. So did Scotty, he didn't underfuel because he took more. But did Jack Sanchez find another gear? Scotty Banks, did he run a bad lap? Let's take a look. Last time by, 1 second slower. We're estimated 3 laps left in the race. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, there is a chance. I mean, he's reeling them in little by little, 2.3 seconds now the gap. So he's made up a second or so over the last 2.5, 3 minutes. And remember, with all the straightaways and the wide open sections of this track, if it gets within about a second, he's got the slipstream on his side. So you never know. It could definitely prove to be a race here at the end. Freddie.
I mean, you want to get out of the way, but you could stay on the track.
You don't have to do that. I mean, I get being courteous, but my goodness, he's trying to blend in with the grass with that green car. Well, here comes Sanchez. I don't think he's going to do the same thing for Sanchez. I hope he doesn't. Freddie Weaver deserves to stay on the track. He's running his own race. You don't got to get too far out of the way. Rut-row, Raggy.
Yeah, there we go. He gets off circuit at a fair point there, and again, if Sanchez can get to within a second, he will have the facilitation of the slipstream. And of course, there are plenty of places on this racetrack to get slipstream, but getting in the kitty litter, that just cost him about 0.3 of a second, maybe. We'll have to wait for the ebbs and flows of the live gaps to equalize there, but looks like 2.5 seconds as we close in on what should be we're on lap number 18, so 19 would be 3 laps to go as of the time of this recording.
Yeah, so we are definitely getting down to it, and little mistakes like that where he got off into the sand, it doesn't sound like much, it doesn't look like much, but it does definitely add up over time, especially when you're on a crunch here. 4 minutes remaining, 3 laps. You definitely can't afford to be making those kinds of mistakes if you want to get to Scotty Banks. A little bit further back, this battle has not ceased since the last time we checked in on it. Luis Henriquez, Jeff Schnackel battling it out for 4th place. Henriquez unable to make the move thus far, but it seems like he's got a car that may be a little bit faster. Just a matter of finding the right section of the track to make it happen. And Jay Bast, he was a little ways behind these guys before. He was kind of trailing them, but now with his battling back and forth, Jay Bast has caught them, making it a 3-car battle for 4th. And again, great run for that number 53, continuing the momentum. Brandon Brush, P7, David Moore, P8, and then Matt Thompson at P9. He's the current leader in the Challenger division, by the way, I should point out. So good points day for him. But
Scott Brooks going, letting get himself out of the way in that 249 car, the Canadian. I said Thompson. It just took me a while to load the second half of the name there. Here comes Mike Neekum and Brandon Smith. This is 19th and 20th, having a little bit of a go. For the spot day. I don't think we're in England. We're in Germany, so I don't know a German accent, so close as I can do is British here. But coming through the stadium section for the penultimate time. No, not penultimate. The second to penultimate, whatever 3 to go would be, because we should be coming to 2 laps to go. We'll take the stripe with about 2:40 on the clock and get about 1:55. So this will indeed be 2 laps to go. The gap being 2 seconds. After so little, so late. As
my goodness.
He'll lose a little bit with that agricultural work.
Well, you'd think he lost a little bit, but I'll tell you, the timing and scoring didn't really change much. So he's going to have just a little bit more time to try to make something happen. If you know Jack, you know he's not giving up. I mean, it might not look great, but he's still never going to just roll over and let him have it. I think he's still going to push that thing until the checkered flag flies, even if he remains 2 seconds back. But yeah, we are in Germany, Corey, and most of the German words I know, I don't think I can say on broadcast.
Wiener Schnitzel.
That's sure,
about it. Sauerkraut. You want some sauerkraut with your Wiener Schnitzel?
I can say Auf Wiedersehen. That's about the only one that I could say on broadcast. The rest of them, In the meantime, this battle here, Henriquez finally going to make this move, I think. He kind of slung it around the outside, which he has done a couple times so far tonight. Going into the hairpin, he's got the preferred line on the line. Look at this, Jay Bast. He thought about it. He didn't commit, but he certainly thought about it.
He pump faked on the 3-pointer, thought better of it here. Schnackel.
Look at this.
Look at this. Circa Jeff Gordon 2016. But we're looking here. Schnackel hanging on for the top 5 with his life. He knows how important it is. And Ruh-roh Scooby-Doo, he's getting in the way in the stadium section. He'll go well out of the way off to another country that's near Germany. I don't know geography to save my life once we get out of the United States, but
Austria.
Yeah, there we go. I thought that was a. Never mind. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But either way, Schnackel doing a fabulous job hanging on. But here we come through Sud Curve through the final penultimate time. And that gap 2.5 seconds. So it looks like we have stabilized here, as Barney should have that white flag in hand for us.
Yeah, so we are here on the final lap. 2.7 seconds the gap now, which I don't think it's necessarily a matter of the tires wearing, but I would assume Jack Sanchez, pushing as hard as he has gotten the tires a little bit hot, which means he's got a little bit less grip. He's fallen back a little bit. At this point, Scotty Banks, as long as he's got enough fuel, he can just kind of coast this last lap and hopefully take the checkered flag. In the meantime, these boys, it's less decided. It is not chiseled in stone for these boys yet, because these 3 cars are still going to go at it on this white flag lap. Henriquez thought he had it. He had the advantage going into the corner, and then out of nowhere, Jeff Schnackel got the run out of the turn, was able to take that position back, and it basically just saying, hey, this is my position, you're not taking it. And even now, Henriquez on the bumper. Jay Bast even closer than he was before. This is going to be something. Into the hairpin. We're going to Too wide again.
Jay Bass again. He tried
He's more committed
so
to it, but he
hard.
couldn't quite get there.
He tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter here. But Schnackle fighting for the top 5 with his life, heading down the chute. He'll be on the outside for the right-hander, but if he can maintain, he'll have the optimistic line here for turn number 8 down to the inside. He's going to have to drive it on deep in there, side by side, maybe a little contact. He's not quite clear. Here comes Henriquez with the track position coming through the back end of the lap. But while we're watching that, a contact!
No.
Oh no!
No! He's gonna get it gathered up. He's all right.
He's gonna get it gathered on up here, but coming off the final corner, he absolutely took the balloon. He emptied the balloon, emptied all the air out. He deflated the competition. He dominated. Sanchez tried to make a comeback. Not going to be enough. Scotty Banks with the win. Great comeback for Jack Sanchez in second here. Looks like we have a good battle. Thompson, as Schnackle lost his top 5, trying to preserve whatever he can. Schnackle holds off the inside. Here comes Thompson round. And
oh no, why is he going down the pits?
Absolutely no idea. That kills the career day. He might still have the amateur prize, though. And Thompson will get the Challenger trophy here today. Schnackle, barring any post-race penalty, still will get the amateur prize here today from the 8th spot. I'm not sure why he pit, but we might talk to him, barring post-race scoring.
That was something. So Matt Thompson taking the Challenger win, and then Schnackle potentially with the amateur win. We'll take a look at a PTR TV replay, try to decipher. There was so much going on right here. So it was the same story we'd seen time and time again. They were battling side by side and just checked up a little bit. Jay Bass came in with a head of steam. I don't think he expected the closing rate to be that drastic and just got into the rear bumper of him. I don't think it was malicious by any means. It was just kind of one of those deals where, you got 3 drivers driving like madmen on the final lap. That kind of thing is bound to happen. But it was a quick and
Oh, okay. I'm being told here in chat via Randall, it was likely an incident point penalty there. Hit the first threshold for incident points. That was probably it, but he's still technically being scored in that position. So I guess all so far is well off. But let's go start our post-race show with our rundown of results here today from the Hockenheim ring. Final results as follows. Scotty Banks with the domination here on the evening. Will extend that points lead by a couple there. Gets it over Jack Sanchez by 2 seconds. Kevin Parrish with a quiet third. Luis Henriquez, a chaotic race. Chaotic battle, gets a 4th. Jay Bast in 5th. And, we are standings updated there, Andre. David Moore in 6th. Matt Thompson in 7th. The Kexter, the 8th spot for the 88. Brush and Matt Malone gets a top 10 out of the day.
Outside of the top 10, going to be Evan Hoopchak in the 7. He spun twice today and still finishes in the top 15. Can't complain about that. Reese Gartner started in last. He's worked his way up to 12th. Great run out of that 94. Powered by Soup, by the way. Jeff Andrus going to be P13. Aaron That Face Bray is going to be P14. Chuck Labano in 15th after his early incident. Luke Sudengay is going to be P16. Then you got Levi Powell. Jeff Schnackle is going to be scored as being 18th after all of that. And then Mike Neekum going to be P19. 20th, Brandon Smith.
All right, so we'll have to recalibrate our amateur standings there. Dave Blair, 21st. Eli Kloft in 22nd. The Fenster. I don't know. That one doesn't fly at all. 23rd, we got John Casey, 24th. Tom Wendt to 25th. Cam D. Decker, the fashion didn't help him too much today. He is in 26th. Royce Bernard, the silent S. Scott Brooks and Ryan Campbell in this to finish things off. Freddie Weaver, he's not last, but he's close enough to it in 31st. Dan Karakonstantis, Dahano Toot, Andy Smith, Neil Kemp, Jay Little, and Greg Hartman shotgun on the field. So we will head to Victory Lane, and Mr. Andre has came into existence. That was the worst segue I've had all season. Came into existence with, I just got off of work and had 5 minutes to prep for this broadcast. So, but either way, someone who had a little bit more time to prep for tonight's race is Scotty Banks, and he is with Mr. Andre.
Mr. Banks, you got a copy?
Hello, I do.
I I gotta say, Scotty, I'm a little bit baffled. I don't think either of us have ever seen a commanding win quite to that nature. I mean, at lap 1.5, you were 5 seconds ahead of the field, and you never looked back. Is this just a particular favorite track of yours, or I mean, where did this speed come from?
I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea. I was not very quick in practice. I was having a hard time just not spinning out in practice. I have no idea. I think that was my first pole in like 5 seasons. I think I've only ever had one before. Somewhere I found my inner aeronom today. I really have no idea. But whatever happened in the first couple corners, that I don't know if there was an actual wreck. I haven't gone back and looked, but I saw I had a bit of a gap, and I just pushed as hard as I could, which was not great towards the end of the race because my tires were definitely not too happy. But I figured if I've already got a couple seconds, I might as well just push as hard as I can and see how it goes. So, I mean, and where did Jack start? Like 14th, 15th?
Yeah, he was all the way back in 14th. By the end of lap 1, he was up to 9th, so he'd passed 5 cars in a lap, and then pretty soon, through all the pit sequences and everything, he was up to P2, where he was trying to run you down. And I know you were probably watching him in the mirror there. Were you getting a little bit concerned when you saw that time clicking down?
Yeah, geez, what a drive. That's crazy. I was feeling a little confident when I had about a 6-second lead there before we started pitting. And I don't know what he did. I know my pit entry wasn't great, but somehow he came out like 3.5 seconds closer to me. So I know he's usually faster than me, and I'm good at chasing him down, but I'm not good at being in front. So I was getting a little worried there at the end.
Might have to check Jack's roll cage for some extra fuel line coiled up in there. Didn't have to take as much gas. That's how he got out so quick. But either way, it was just a dominant race, and again, one to be proud of. Congratulations on the win. Continuing to stretch out your points lead, not taking it, but stretching out the points lead. How you feeling going into these last couple races?
Yeah, next week is Detroit, I believe. I feel pretty good. I love that track. I don't know if I'm one of the few that does or not, but I always love going to the street courses. And my goal for the last few weeks is just finish within one position of Jack every week for the last like 5 weeks, just within one position, and I've been able to do that. So I'm just going to try to keep that going. I think I will probably have like a 6-point lead after this, which is fine. That gives me a couple position gap. It's going to be a fun race. It's going to be crazy. I'm just going to minimize the chaos and finish in the top 4. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. Belle Isle did not disappoint last season either, so going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing what you can do. Congrats on the win. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you. See you next week.
All right, now we're going to try to dial up our Challenger winner, Mr. Matt Thompson, or Matt Tom, and he's with Corey.
All right. Well, Matt, I stuttered on your name because I was very tired. So your name is now Matt Tom, according to our broadcast. But you were having a great day. 7th place is a great day for anybody here. And that gets you that Challenger win here. And I know Chuck Labano is all the way out there in the standings, but you'll claw a little bit of points towards it there. How was your day, man?
It was good. I got prepped up, got the setup working for this track, and it didn't feel quite as quick tonight as I had in practice, but overall, cannot complain. It was felt good and avoided a lot of carnage in the first couple laps and the last lap. Picked up a few points on Chuck. Hopefully, I got about half those 20 points he's got me by. Yeah, he's got me by 20 points after drops. So
yeah, you got him by 8 points here on the positions here today. But you started 15th, and this was a race. Me and Andrew were rather confused because we had a lot of the heavy hitters in the pro class, Malone, Sanchez, and company starting mid-pack, and you were right in the thick of it there in those opening corners where everything was kind of going chaotic there. Were you kind of nervous, expecting them to try to claw through the field as fast as possible?
I expected some of them to come up. Yeah, I was really surprised whenever I started maintaining gap to Phil and those guys. So yeah, that was real surprising. And
yeah, well, obviously it worked out for you. Now 1 week left. We'll see where the final points stand, of course, with the drop week, but heading to the street circuit. Last season, it was quite the fuel mileage race at Belle Isle, but obviously with the walls and how difficult it is, what's your confidence level rounding up the season at a street circuit?
I really love Belle Isle the last few times we've been there. Second to last time we were there, I blew my engine in turn 2. So I don't want to do that again. As long as I can avoid that, I should be all right.
All right, we'll see how things tally up, man. But we'll be watching you in your fight for the division championship. Congrats on the run tonight.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. Levi Powell, who just beats Mr. Schnackle by 1 position. How things fall.
Mr. Powell, you got a copy?
I sure do.
Well, Levi, my first question, did you even know you had the win when you crossed that line?
No, I wasn't sure. I knew that I was the second AM. And I mean, I got nothing for Jeff. Nobody has anything for Jeff and AM.
Well, evidently you did. You got the win. No matter how it happened, a win is a win. That's what I always say. And he racked up some incident points, had to come down pit road, and you just barely snuck by him there. So, again, it was an exciting moment. I don't think any of us really knew what was going on at the time, but congratulations on the win, first of all. Second of all, what a race back there. I mean, you guys, mid-pack especially, it seemed like these cars were just really hard to handle. The rear end wanted to step out on you guys, and saw a lot of positions getting shuffled, drivers going forward, drivers going backward. What was your experience like tonight?
Yeah, it did seem pretty slick. There's a couple of those key corners, that hairpin, what is that, turn 3? That is, the biggest thing. And this is one of those tracks where it seemed like your throttle control was really important. So yeah, I was just trying to keep it safe for once. I think that was the safest race I've had this season, and apparently it worked out for me because everybody else was having issues, especially after that lap 1 start. That was crazy. I was just happy to survive that and was just trying to get my laps in. It took me about till halfway through till I got a good rhythm and started to actually getting good lap times in.
Absolutely, and we in the booth, we respect that. I've always enjoyed watching a race just like what you ran, somebody who's a little bit more focused on consistency, because at the end of the day, yeah, it helps to be the fastest car on the track in a race, but that's not the entire point of racing. There's so much more going on under the hood, and at the end of the day, Schnackle, he was fast, but he got those incident points. It came back to bite him, and sometimes the hair doesn't always win. So it was a really interesting race to watch, and next week we're going to Belle Isle, the infamous Detroit street circuit. How do you feel about that place?
Well, we all know how last year went, and I think I did okay last year, but I feel a little better about it than I think most people would. Just got to try to keep it safe again, especially if it ends up being wet.
Yeah, if it rains, that's going to be one heck of a season finale. We can hope for it. I don't think we're going to get it.
Right.
But, we can definitely hope for it. Again, congratulations on the win, Mr. Powell. It was a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully you can double down next week.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, hopefully. Hey, great broadcast, you guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, well, that'll wrap things up here from the Hockenheim ring with Scotty Banks getting a dominating effort here. And we'll have one more round to go next week, next Tuesday at the Belle Isle Street Circuit. We'll have some really close point standings battles, and we'll see who our champion will be. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're on our mission to 1,400. Who knows, we might be there by the end of this broadcast. If not, we'll be mighty close. Help us out with that. Check out D-Nut stuff in the description of the video. Mike Neekum with his shop, custom league merch, custom plaques. A lot of AMS stuff helps out the league and helps Mike Neekum with the great work that he is doing. That's going to be Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.